Gather round, friends, new and old, and welcome to the POWWOW podcast. I am your host, Philip.
And I'm your other host, David.
Oh, man, what a week, David. I mean, it's really going to inspire the rest of this episode, so I can't really talk too much about my week, but it's been a real up and down week for me. How about you, David? How's your week been?
A lot on my mind, a lot of sleepless nights. That doesn't help, obviously, with the jet lag. Travel has impacted it, but just like lots on my mind, very busy. I've come back. I can delightfully report after last week's episode that I have been relatively motivated. I have gotten a lot done. Philip, did you get my email?
I did get it this morning.
I shared with you?
I did.
And did you watch what I sent you?
I did not. I didn't have a chance.
Oh, well. Okay. Well, very exciting things happening. Finally, after many, many, many months, the film that I shot in Los Angeles. It's still a work in progress. There's still some stuff to be done, but it is taking shape at the very least. So it's very exciting.
It is an uncut gem at this current moment.
Sure. And now we are very much coming into, speaking of films, we're very much coming into Oscar season. We are less than 2 weeks, as of this recording, less than 2 weeks away. By the time you're listening to this, about a week away from the Oscar ceremony. I will admit, I'm not likely to have finished all movies in every single category like I did last year. Just with my trip to LA, I wasn't going to be sitting watching movies the entire time. So I haven't really had the chance. But all the major categories, guaranteed, I will have watched them and we'll be able to talk really in depth about those ones and not all the stuff that you don't care about.
Yes, likewise, I don't think I'll be able to make nearly as big of a commitment as I did last year, but I think I've seen a lot, if nothing else, of the favorites.
Right. Have you seen all the best pictures?
I don't even think I can say that. I know for certain, like I'm missing Brigadoon, and I want to. Did Coda get nominated?
I'm sorry, Brigadoon is what exactly?
Isn't that the Irish one?
Belfast, my friend. Belfast.
Either I knew it was a B. It was a
Brigadoon, Belfast sound exactly the same.
Brigabelle.
Coda has. I'll read the best picture nominations: Belfast, phenomenal. Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story. The only one I'm halfway through Drive My Car, and then I will have seen them all.
Wow, good for you.
Which is a 3-hour Japanese film.
Yes, I've heard mixed reviews. What's so funny is that the only one that I really am just unenthusiastic to like have to watch is Licorice Pizza. I know that it's gotten good stuff.
I think you might like it, actually. Okay, I had mixed emotions about it. Overall, I liked it for the most part, but I think you'll like it.
All right, well, let's leave that for next week. We'll talk about what happens this week, and let's get into just something that just makes me sick.
Our number one topic of the day is inspired by Phil's up and down and up and down and up and down week. Up and down, probably heading back and forth to the bathroom. Phil, you had food poisoning, which is why we're recording a day or two later than we would normally.
Yes. So up and down on many levels, but certainly, my God, man, I want to say it's the first time I've ever had food poisoning, and I've limited it.
Really?
Yes, because I don't recall if I've ever been sick. It's been longer than for the period that I was at. Again, if you're hearing me now, I sound perfectly fine. I maybe have a weakened stomach. Soup still sounds very good to me. So that's how I can tell I'm like on the mend still a little bit, but I'm mostly fine. But my God, that nothing makes people weaker and brings you more to your knees and makes you feel more mortal than food poisoning. My God, I couldn't tell you which end it was coming out of more, Hoffman. My God, I wanted a double toilet. And that was the first time in my life I ever understood the want of bringing like a bucket to just console me. While I'm on the toilet, there was nowhere that could bring me greater comfort than on the toilet with a bucket, just to make sure that everything was covered. It was disgusting, man. It was absolutely horrifying.
Every time I've had food poisoning, which is probably twice maybe in my life, thank goodness, it's always violent. Like it's never like Like, yeah, you can have like nausea and like not be feeling great. And like it's mild, but it's like it's uncomfortable. But like food poisoning is usually, every time I've had it, been violent. Like you're violently ill. And yeah, out both ends. If you have a weak stomach, this may not be the powwow episode for
Yes.
you.
Yes. In case you
But
haven't gathered, we are talking about sicknesses, being sick, just really sickening things today. That's where we're going on this
yeah,
Pow Out podcast episode. And let's be honest here. I haven't been sick, like actually sick, luckily, since like pre-pandemic. I mean, I've been very fortunate, very lucky that
I mean, it was probably partially at least down to like better sanitizing and general health practice.
oh, sure. I mean, I don't mean to make this political at all, but I do wear a mask at a fair amount of places, and while I don't take what you will about its prevention on COVID and everything, I do find it to be a proponent. What be that as it may, I for myself have found that it has helped me prevent me to be sick in a very long time. I usually get sick about once a year, so I'm low on the spectrum anyways, but now we're talking, what, 3 years that I haven't even been sick? This is my first dalliance into it. And oh man, it was gross because like everything, even the worst part about it for me was that taking even the medicine to get better was such a task, was such a just such a superhuman feat for me because I had to take either Pepto Bismol, I had to take Tylenol, whatever the heck I wanted to take, and it would be such a task to get it into my system and to keep it down. Like that was where I'm like, I'm just swallowing, I'm just making sure like, oh, can I take even more of this if I didn't actually keep it down and it came out one way or the other? Am I able to do that or what? And what's the times? It was just a horrible thing. Let's get to how often we both get sick. I've already said I get sick about once a year. What about you, Hoffman? How often would you say you get
I would
sick?
say I catch a cold or what like a nasally virus, maybe once or twice a year probably. I usually get flu-y maybe once every 4 years or something like that. I
Oh,
don't really
really?
catch flu-y illnesses very often. Maybe 3 years, who knows. As for stomach bugs, most of the time when I get like sick to my stomach, it's because I've been drinking. And like I'm someone who's thrown up a lot in my life. I'm guessing you probably aren't someone who's thrown up a lot in your life.
Actually, you would be wrong. Especially being younger, I was a huge puker. And the reason why, though,
Really?
yeah, I used to eat so much food so fast. I was a bit chunky, as I'm pretty sure I broached on this podcast before. I was a bit
Your
chunky.
mother called you fluffy on this podcast
Fluffy,
once upon a
absolutely.
time.
Yes, she did. Yes, I was indeed fluffy, but I did eat a lot. And when I ate, I would eat it very fast. And for whatever reason, a hot dog was what made me puke the most as a kid because I would just, for some reason, it went down easy and then it expand or something. And then I just have to puke because I ate too much. And I just always would puke hot dogs. But yeah, I puked a lot as a kid. So I become, what's the word, comfortable puking. I'm fine with puking. I know some people like it makes them sick, the even thought of making them puke. I'm fine with puking. If I need to puke, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it unless I need to keep it down.
I welcome it because
Yeah,
almost always you feel better right afterwards. So I would rather be puking than like be sitting around waiting to puke. Like I
exactly.
just like I get it over with. And that's the thing when I drink a lot as well. And I'm like, if I've gone heavy, which is a rare thing, if I've gone really hard one night, then I would rather do it the night before, make it happen, stick my fingers down my throat and puke.
Yeah,
And once again, I feel like I have to apologize if
yeah.
you're not, if this is not a subject that you like to broach. I'm okay talking about it. Like I puke a lot. I puke a lot, and if something needs to come out, I'd rather it be out. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to keep it in.
Amen. I'm the
Yeah, I will
exact
make
same way,
myself
man.
puke. If I feel like I need to puke, I will try to make myself puke, and I will almost always feel better right afterwards. So
So, but speaking of that, of making yourself feel better afterwards, how do you do that? What are some things that you do to make you feel better, Hoffman? What are some common aids that help you get to a better place in mind when either while you're sick or while you're still in recovery or I don't know.
when it comes to like head colds, which isn't really what we're talking about today, but when it comes to stuff like that, I usually go, I will at some point make myself a hot toddy, which is whiskey, ginger, freshly grated like root ginger, lemon juice, hot water, and honey, obviously, to make it slightly bearable to drink. Because otherwise, that ginger, that whiskey, and that like it just all
Ooh,
hits
it'll
you. But
burn.
it is a great remedy. I don't know, like I guess it's really mainly the ginger, the lemon juice. The whiskey probably helps the way you feel at least,
Warms your body back
and the
up.
honey helps with the taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good remedy. Makes me like not everyone can enjoy it, but I enjoy it, and it's yeah, it's a good one. As for like stomach stuff, like I guess I just do what's mainly recommended. I don't eat very much because you can't, but try to get those electrolytes back in. That's my main goal. So water, and then if I can, like some kind of drink that has electrolytes in it. Coconut water, ideally. That's all. I
Oh,
not that that's my usual remedy because I don't usually keep coconut water around, but that's what I would do if I could.
I can't do coconut water, man. I've tried it before because I've heard of
Oh,
all the
it's
health benefits.
delicious.
Oh no. We have never been more diametrically opposed on any one thing. It's
The
disgusting.
irony is that coconut is apparently, and I learned this from the movie Castaway from Tom Hanks.
Mhm.
Coconut is apparently a laxative.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. But yes, you're very right on the electrolytes. For myself, Gatorade. Whenever I'm sick, nothing sounds more appealing to me than Gatorade. It just I think my body
Yeah.
has identified that as the electrolytes that it needs to rehydrate. Because I'm not a big Gatorade drinker outside of when I'm sick, but that is something that I yearn for. I don't think that that's all that new. What do we do to get better? Honestly, a big one for me is that again, this isn't unnormal, but soup is like the one thing that tastes and sounds good to me whenever I'm sick. But it's like the only time. I'm never a real big soup person. Even whenever I say I eat ramen dry. So I don't consider it like a soup. I consider it ramen. I consider it its own substance. But soup with like broth and everything, that's like the only time I'll actually drink broth and everything. You look
I do
disgruntled.
want some chunky things in my soup. If because I do feel like you need food. I know I'm kind of backtracking on something I said about 5 minutes ago, but yeah, like I can't just have soup. Like I at least have just some bread next to it or something, or if it's a chunkier soup or something like that, like that's better. At least there's some substance to it. But I guess yeah, when you really can't take like whole solid foods, then that's the only way to go. But I'm not a big soup person, so I don't really enjoy it very much. I yearn for the day where I may eat a solid meal again.
And the last thing that I do a lot of, but I feel like it's just maybe this is just my natural preservative nature and what I do for a lot of things. But I sleep a lot. I think whenever
Mm.
something is affected in my life, my first go to is just sleep it off. But of
Yeah,
course, that would of course go to me being sick as well. For the past 2 days, I feel like I slept an entire day. Just I would wake up every 4 hours. I'd feel a little bit more sick, and so I'd force myself to take some Pepto. I'd get some Tylenol. I'd go empty out everything on the toilet, and then come back, sleep for another 4 hours, repeat the cycle all again. And it was just, and that's all I would do. Maybe every
yeah.
once in a while, just stutter walk my way to the fridge to see if I can find some bread, but that's it.
Now, I want to say your body, and let's get scientific here. Your body is a massive system of chemical reactions happening constantly every single day, every second of every day. It's all chemistry, and it is a delicate balance. And so it cannot be overstated the value of water, hydration, keeping that balance, especially if you're throwing up or if you are like sweating a lot, you got to keep yourself hydrated. Water is magic. So like keep yourself like that's what I do. I literally keep myself like drink water constantly. And that's how your immune system is going
You
to
nearly drown yourself.
function the best. Shut up. And function as well as it can to fight whatever's fucking you up.
Last but not least, let's get to some fun sick stories, if such a thing exists. I know I've got a couple.
Yeah.
David, do you have a couple?
I got yeah. I got a couple, yeah.
All right, why don't you go first then?
Oh man, I was a little quick one here. When I was probably like 7 years old. I asked my mom if I could stay home from school because I was feeling really sick, and I was feeling like a pain in my stomach. And so she called in and she said I wouldn't be coming to school. And then like by 10 a.m. I was like, oh, I feel fine. I'm good. I'm better. And my mom was like, David, did you fake being sick? And I was like, no, like I legitimately hadn't. I was like, no, my stomach hurt earlier, I promise. And it turns out that was the day I learned the difference between nausea and gas cramps. But anyway, so so onto an actual sick story, and you'll hear a little bit about this later as well. It was Christmas Eve. We were visiting my family farm in Zambia, my extended family farm in Zambia in Africa. And we usually, it's a big family thing. There's like 40 people at dinner on this huge long table, and there's a bar. And then once dinner's over, we dance, we party, we have a great time. It's very jovial and enjoyable. It hasn't happened in years. Things move on. And so then, like, this was the first year. I think I must have been, God, how old was I? I was like 15, maybe 15 or so, I'm guessing. And so my cousin and I were, for the first time, we would usually drink Coke years before, but for the first time we were adding a little rum into our Coke and having a good time. And I started drinking legally at 16, and so you inevitably start drinking a little bit at 15, and we got a little bit drunk, and the night went on, like when, like, there was a moment where everyone went, us cousins of a similar age went to one of the reservoirs on the farm to go swimming in the middle of the night, and like it was a fun night. Anyway, woke up at 10 a.m. We're awoken at 10 a.m. the next morning, feeling like death, and everyone was pissed off because all the kids were waiting. Like, we had younger cousins who were waiting for us, and in the where the tree was in the living room, where like there's again like 40 people waiting for me and my cousin to show up, to like get out of bed and show up so that the kids can open their presents and everyone can enjoy Christmas morning. So we get dragged out of bed, we go hang out. We are feeling awful, just terrible. I can't sit there longer than 10 minutes. Like, I think I opened one of my presents and then I'm gone. Like, I go back to the bedroom, and like you said, it was coming out both ends.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate enough that I was sitting on the toilet and the sink was right next to me.
Yeah.
So I could lean into the sink at least. And like, I had no other option. That was the only thing I could do. And I will say that's one advantage of like the Netherlands. Like, toilets are usually, like, house toilets are usually tiny, and the sink is usually tiny. And so that, like, in this tiny little box shape, so the sink is always sort of right next to your head. So I've had that as well, but I was lucky enough. I had the sink right there. It lasted days, and it got to the point that first afternoon where my aunt was like, "They're just hungover. Just leave them. Like, they did this to themselves." And I was like, "Whoa, hold on a second. When have you known a hangover to be this bad this late in the day?" Like, it's not a hangover, because my brother had been sick a few days before that, so it was very clearly we had caught whatever he had. And it was traveling through the family. Everyone was getting it, and we just happened to get it on Christmas Day. It lasted for another like 5 days. Like, it got a little better, but it was bad, man. It was so bad. It might have been like 4 days, but it was really, really awful. The sickest I've ever been in my life. And yeah, you go.
Yeah, I like I said earlier, I was a puker when I was a kid. So one of the times that I I actively remember was that we had just had one of our first dinners together as a family, as my stepdad joined the family with his daughter, my sister. Her name's Misty, and it was one of our first dinners together as like a family. And so we went to this steakhouse, and for some reason they had like a family chicken pot pie. Like, it wasn't just a chicken pot pie. It was a family chicken pot pie. And I think I was just trying to impress people. And I just was like, no, I'm going to eat it all. And so I ate it all. We get into the car afterwards, and the bumping, and we were caught in some traffic, and the heat all mixed up together to where I just could not hold this massive chicken pot pie in my stomach anymore. I was like, I'm going to puke. I'm going to go. And so my sister, being the smart whippersnapper that she is, grabbed one of our, we have normally in our our family's cars, we just always have blankets in the back. These are like Mexican blankets where they're just kind of quilted, and they're from Mexico, so we always call them Mexican blankets. And so she grabbed one, and I just puked in the middle of it and just wadded it up, just like folded it like a sandwich. And I'm just there, just delirious, just sick to my stomach, just could not be. And all of a sudden, all I keep hearing is throw it away, throw it away. And what I didn't hear is that we'll throw it away when we get home. So all I just hear is throw it away, throw it away. So I roll down the window as we're like starting to go. And yep. And so I toss the blanket out. And as we're going, you can see this beautiful, nice family behind us, like conversing to each other because they were at a stop and we were like starting to go. And all of a sudden, you see their look of horror because my mom's like, Philip, whoa, no, what are you? No. My dad's like, whoa, hey, whoa, Philip, you can't do. No, sister, no, wait, what do you know? Meanwhile, the family behind us is all going like, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. And then all of a sudden you can see through the window their horrified faces as they see this object going from like scared to more like horrified of like, and then it's like opening up like a present onto their windshield of just
That's like,
unmentionables.
It's like a movie.
I know, it's
I've
unmentionable.
seen that scene in a movie.
It's unmentionables, just chunks everywhere, and they're just horrified. And all of a sudden, like you just see them stop before they can even progress. It's disgusting, and we all felt so bad. We just kept going on home, and we're like, oh my god, this is the worst thing you've ever done.
Yeah, it becomes a question: can you handle the shame of stopping? And
that was a highly contentious debate. We went home. I slept it off, but my God, that is one of the worst experiences. And I can still to this day vividly remember their faces of fear in each stage of just normal happy talk, scared of what's rapidly approaching their vehicle. And then 3, just the disgust, just utter disgust and disdain on their faces as like they're like, oh, this is not dangerous. This is just disgusting. And they're getting covered in it. The whole car. Oh, it was awful. I felt so terrible. Do you have another one, Hoffman?
Well, I mean, it's a shorter one. This has actually happened to me twice. Well, there was one night in London where I threw up in one of the London cabs because I was drunk. I was with my ex-girlfriend, and we were out celebrating her birthday. And I cut her birthday short basically because she had to take me home because I was so drunk. And then I threw up in the cab, mostly on my jeans, but also on the seat. And it was, and like we had to pay. There's a fee if you make a mess in the cab. And
I should hope so.
But then similar thing happened to me in an Uber in LA. I was being escorted home after a messy night in Santa Monica with Jake Corlang. He took me back to his place. Thank goodness he was like doing that because I don't know how I would have made it home. I was messy drunk, and we had gotten pizza that night, and I was like so excited. It was my favorite pizza place, and we were Ubering home. I had only eaten like half my pizza, guess because I was feeling sick, and I threw up in the Uber. I didn't make a mess. I did not make a mess, but because I threw up into my pizza box, and I ruined
the rest of it.
A really great pizza that would have been so good the next day. But at least I didn't have to pay this Uber driver to clean his car. I managed to not. I don't even know if he noticed. Apparently he didn't, according to Jake. I don't remember much about what happened, but I do remember losing a good pizza.
Yeah, waking up and being like, hey, where's that pizza? Oh, that's right.
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. And like Jake has friends who we ran into that night at this bar in Santa Monica at what's it called? The Bungalow in Santa Monica. And like when I was in LA this past few weeks, I ran Jake had invited these people to things, and I saw them, and I was like, "Oh, I'm David," and they were like, "No, I know you. We've met." And I was like, "Have we?" Yeah, that night at the Bungalow in Santa Monica, and I'm like, "Oh God,
oh wow,
oh no." Yeah, so I mean, that's more of a drunk story than it is a sick story, but I did get sick.
You did get sick. My last one, I might have, forgive me if I've already told this, but have I told you why I don't eat Whataburger anymore? Whataburger burgers.
No, I don't know that you have.
Oh, good.
I was very unimpressed by Whataburger. Just going to throw that out there.
Well, good. I'm glad you got a last jabbing shot before we completely throw away any Whataburger endorsement that we may potentially have. So I I was about to have a surgery where I just needed to fast, and it was a pretty big fast. It was like for like 5 days prior to the surgery. And so what they did give me though, just to hold me over, were these like protein shakes, and they were vanilla. I distinctly remember they were like vanilla / strawberry, like one of the two. I was doing good. First 2 days were extremely painful, but I was like, oh. And then finally, like the last day, I'm like heading off to rehearsal, driving myself, and I'm like, I can't do this. I just need one meal, one substance, and I'll be good for like the rest for the other 2.5 days. I just need one cheat meal. It's not even it's gonna be just a delicious burger, and then that's all I'll need. That I'll have that memory, and that's all I'll have. So I stop off at Whataburger, and I get this double quarter pounder. It's just so delicious. It is so juicy. It is so rich. It's filled with cheese, and just it is oozing with flavor, David. And I scarf that puppy down. I then turn onto the highway. I don't make it like 2 exits before I all of a sudden my compromised stomach in that state of not having eaten anything to now fully getting a full on flavor meal impact just says, "Nuh-uh. No, you're not doing this today, Philip. You are not cheating today." I have to pull over to the side of the friggin' highway. I start just wrecking my brains out on the side of the highway, and the taste, David, the taste of intermingled vanilla and cheeseburger and everything else that's in there is so horrifying to me now. I vividly remember all that mixture of vanilla and cheeseburger, something I love. I love cheeseburgers. I can't do it. I can't. That now it has stained my thought and my flavor profile of Whataburger so much that I can never, ever, ever, ever eat Whataburger ever again because of it. It was so violent.
That's crazy. Because that Christmas story that I told, it was 2 years. I couldn't drink rum. I couldn't even smell rum. It was just so, because even though it was a stomach bug that made me sick, I guess my brain associated it with the rum that I had that night before on Christmas Eve. But now, thankfully, like it's been many years now. Now, thankfully, I enjoy rum again, and I thank goodness I do, because it's one of my favorite. If I'm gonna have any spirits, then rum is probably the way to go.
I was gonna say rum is an interesting one.
But you never came back. You never came back from Whataburger.
No, I still to this day have not eaten a cheeseburger, burger, or anything from Whataburger. At best, I've had a breakfast sandwich, but that's like a completely different spectrum. But rum is interesting because for me, the most stories I ever hear about alcohol and people swearing it off is Fireball. I had an ex-girlfriend who got
but that's
alcohol.
Whiskey.
Oh, that's fair. I had an ex-girlfriend who got alcohol poisoning from Fireball. Never again. She's like, even
if I want to have a messy night and get sick, I'll drink whiskey.
Yeah,
for sure. No contest.
All right. Hopefully this episode didn't make you sick, and you're still with us and still have the stomach to go along with us to this next part of the podcast. We'll try and keep it clean and clean up on aisle 3 here while we move along. This episode of POWWOW Podcast is sponsored by Sides.
Meet Sides, SIDES, an app that helps you take the law into your own hands.
Turn ordinary agreements into binding contracts in seconds. Then if a dispute arises, Sides will step in to resolve it for you.
Wait, Phil, that was supposed to be my line.
What did we agree to in the contract?
I don't know. I guess we can use Sides to settle this dispute, because each dispute costs a small one-time fee.
And if you win, which I will, it's all awarded back to you.
Sign up now and get 16% off for a limited time only.
May I help you?
You talking to me?
I need to talk to you.
A little word of advice.
Welcome.
Oh, you're welcome then.
You're welcome. And
you're welcome then.
You're welcome then. I don't think you enjoyed this.
That bit. It's
I was
so
gonna
good.
say, I think that you at first when you heard it, you're like, okay, this is whatever. It's grown on you, man. It has grown on you.
Oh yeah, no, it's you're welcome. Well, no, it's may I help you?
Yes, there you go. All right. This, of course, is You're Welcome, where we give you unsolicited advice, but we feel like it's important. David?
Yeah, don't get mad at people for sending you or posting videos on social media of their kids, because I promise you, you are just as annoying in your own special way.
Have a sick fund. When I say a sick fund, I mean just have a little, it's almost like a rainy day fund, but for when you're sick. And what you do is you just get that money and you spend extra on whatever you need. So if you're saying, "Hey, amigo or family member A, can you go to the store and buy me some Pepto-Bismol? Can you go to the store and buy me some Mucinex? Hey, can you go to the store and buy me, because for whatever reason in my sickness right now, I really feel like I need watermelon." Whatever it could possibly be. Can you go to the store and buy this? You give them $20 for whatever it is, and then $20 for them to have. Just to say, you know what, buy yourself something, enjoy, have it on me. It also makes your friends and family incentivized to help you, and they'll be more happy to help you in the future. It makes you happy, makes them happy. Bada bing, bada boom. You're welcome.
So on the theme of being sick and things making us feel sick, we wanted to talk about a couple of things each that make us sick, even when there's no alcohol, no stomach bug, no food poisoning involved. Phil, why don't we start with your first thing?
Well, my number one thing, of course, as anybody would know, is mustard. Ugh, gross. But I
Yep.
thought, yeah, let's get away from that because everybody knows. So, what about squishy fruit that's not meant to be squishy? It's one thing if it's watermelon, but whenever you get to like a grape or something, if that grape becomes squishy, that just, I'm never as particular about food as I am with fruit. Once we get to a certain, like if an apple starts to become a little squishy, I just can't. I'm very particular about fruit, and I just don't, I'm not like that with others. Like I will test the limits on, I don't know, a slice of cheese. I will test the limits on a slice of bread as long as I don't see mold. I will test the limits on a frozen like chicken pot pie. When it comes to fruit, though, the moment I even question it, I can't do it. And I know that could be seen as a bit snobbish, but I can't help it. It just makes me a little queasy. I'm just like, I can't do it. I've been burnt one too many times before. Squishy fruits that aren't meant to be squishy make me sick. What about you?
I went all in on food here, and I may have said some of this before, but beets. Now, I'm not saying that they make me actually feel like I want to throw up or anything, but whenever I have to eat beets, no matter how they're cooked, there's certain ways that they're cooked that are like better, I guess, but it makes me gag, along with a few other vegetables, but more than anything, beets makes me like, it gives me that like, it triggers my gag reflex, and I'm like, wah, wah. You know, I can't do beets. Cannot do beets.
My last one here, breaking of bones. So whenever I see it whenever I see it in a movie, and I realize, I know, I've seen like production meetings, I understand these things as an actor, that it's mostly just somebody breaking in half to a thing of celery. I understand that. And I know that Russell Crowe himself is not, when he jumps off the bridge saying Jean Valjean, he's not actually breaking up and crumpling into a heap. But it still makes me just like, nothing disgusts me more than bodily broken pieces. Maybe even not fresh scabs. I can kind of do that, but like depending on how gross it is, if there's like a mangled finger or a cut off finger, it grosses me the F out. I can't do it, especially the more realistic it is. If it's I don't know, if it's aliens and somebody's bursting forth from somebody's stomach, it can go 50-50 on whether or not I find it disgusting. But if it's like a movie about skateboarders and like somebody just rolls on their wrist and then it's like hanging loosely,
What about that scene? What about from Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones, where they're like, there's a pile of bodies and like one guy's like holding his intestines out in front of him.
That's pretty gross, man. I'm not gonna lie, because the more realistic it is, and he's just like trying to put it back in.
Yeah.
It's gross, man.
The soundscape for this episode is phenomenal.
Yes.
My last one, I'm going back to food. I guess I had a slightly different interpretation of this assignment. I like yours better, Phil, but this is paramount for me, is cooked fruit, with the exception of bananas. Like cooked peaches, cooked apples. It doesn't,
Like on a shish kebab?
it doesn't, no, like a apple pie or a peach cobbler or anything like that. Like there's sweet desserts that are fruit based. I don't even like a coulis. I don't even like the word coulis. The word coulis makes me want to fucking throw up. No, like it doesn't make me gag like beets do, but it makes me want to throw up because I don't want it in my body. Like I once I was trying to stomach a strudel. I was on a cross country trip. I was staying with a host family in We haven't really mentioned this at all, but in Kiev, Ukraine, I went there on a cross-country trip once. Beautiful city, horribly sad what's happening. But yeah, the family fed me this apple strudel for breakfast, and I hate cooked apples. I hate them. And I was just
Wow.
like little bit by bit, and I'm like trying to stomach it, and then I left like 80% of it, and I'm like, well, guess I'm not hungry. And I then went and ran cross country in a race that day, and yeah, I was not fueled, and that's why I came 14th.
That's why. Yes.
That's why I came 14th.
I actually didn't know that about you. See, this is
What?
very informational for
You
all
didn't
of us.
know what about me? That I
That
didn't
you
like
didn't
cooked
cooked
fruits?
fruits. No.
Oh, I love fried banana. Fried banana is a crucial part of a bacon and egg breakfast. Like bacon
What?
and fried banana is, trust me, Philip, if you haven't tried it, it's worth trying. It's friggin' delicious. But no, I like apple pie. Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. No, and peach cobbler, like it is disgusting. Plum, any fruits like that. No. The other thing that I like, pineapple. I've had like this. I went to this Brazilian churrascaria, the Brazilian steakhouse where they bring you the meat on like a skewer, and they it's like an all you can eat thing.
Oh,
Like they had like
yeah.
pineapple pieces, like this like cooked pineapple that had like I think it was brown sugar around the outside, and it was like baked or like roasted or whatever. And that was actually pretty tasty. That roasted pineapple. But most other fruits, nope.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That whole roasted meat thing that you slice from that's gross to me. I can't do that.
Fair
Not
enough.
me. Joining us today, we have a returning guest, one of our favorites, and I know this is not going to matter to the mass audiences, but damn it, it matters to me, and it matters certainly to Shannon. I just want to say congratulations to Shannon Blunt, who was our guest, and that's not why I'm congratulating her. That's whatever. But she got a full-time position where we both work. I think I can be at liberty to discuss that. It's a great job to you, Shannon, and I wanted to be amongst the first, and of course I've been amongst the first to congratulate you, but again, continuously, congratulations,
And I
Shannon.
want to be amongst the second to congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, she has a big girl job. She's all ready for work. She's already above me. She's making her way. Eventually, she will run Sirius XM and whip it into shape. How about that,
As
guys?
I should.
As she should, as damn well she should. All right, Shannon Blunt has previously been on this podcast. In case you missed those episodes, make sure you go back and listen to them. But we can always get to know Shannon better. So with that in mind, David, why don't you go ahead and ask her one of your two questions before I ask her one of mine?
I didn't even know this whole thing about the job, so I'm already getting to know Shannon a little better.
Literally happened like an hour ago, 2 hours ago.
I want to say fresh congratulations. Have you told your family yet?
My mom was the first person I called right after my dad. So
Good,
Mama
good.
Blunt.
you guys aren't the first, but they are super ecstatic as well.
Mama Blunt is what Snoop Dogg calls his ladies. That's a terrible joke. Shannon, I want to apologize because, first of all, for that. And then also because last time you were on, there was like a 12-second period where, for whatever reason, I was calling you Sharon. And then I reverted and I went back to Shannon. And you didn't seem to, or you maybe just chose to ignore. But yeah, I just want to say sorry because I've listened back to that episode and I'm like, what?
No, I didn't even notice. But
Okay,
people
well,
do that often.
I'm
That's
sorry.
an often occurrence in my life because I guess they're so similar. But
Yeah,
no,
I
I didn't
mean-
even notice.
Wow. I didn't even think about it until days later when I was listening back to the episode. Okay, my first question. What is a skill that you wish you had, but you know you'll never attain?
I can't whistle. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to whistle.
Like
I've
whistle
tried.
at all?
I can get out a little like toot little whistle, like a. It's something that really haunts me. I hate when people just like bust out a whistle.
And
And
you know what's funny about that is whenever I've known people who cannot whistle, now I can add Shannon to that list. Every time somebody says that, the immediate first thing to do is like everybody in the room just finds a license to them, be like, well, I could whistle, right? I could still whistle.
And they start whistling
and then
at
they start
you.
whistling and they're like, you can't do this. And they start like whistling like the Jungle Book, those annoying people, myself included. But I love that you cannot whistle. I didn't even know that, Shannon. Wow.
No, it is sad. I do think about it a lot because I would like to bust out a whistle, when I'm walking down the street all happy. Like, I feel like that's a good whistle time. And it's just
I
never
wish
going to
I could
happen for
loud
me.
whistle. I've been trying to
Oh
practice
yeah, like people with
loud
like
whistling,
two fingers or something going
My
and like
mom-
contorting to be like, and then it's like you can hear it a
my
mile
mom does it
away.
without. My mom does it just no hand involvement whatsoever. She just like contorts her mouth in such a way, and like this ridiculously loud whistle comes out, and it's impressive. I don't know how she does it though. Anyway,
All right.
okay, Phil, your question.
My question for you, Shannon. Here we go. Shannon, you're talking to two, dare I be so bold as to say refined gentlemen with elderly taste. Me, of course, being emphasis on the elderly. David is just mature, and there we go. We both have similar tastes in that genre. So, Shannon, I need your finest selling point. I need you to advertise to us because neither me nor Hoffman are on TikTok, and I need you to get us both on TikTok with this pitch. Take your time if need be. For the listeners, of course, as you know, Shannon, we will be doing podcast magic to get forward to when you do come up with your pitch. Give us your finest selling pitch to get on and make a TikTok account right after this episode.
Let's see. We've had this conversation a lot, Philip, of why you should get a TikTok.
Of course.
First of all, you're behind the times if you're not on TikTok. Everything happening on TikTok is happening really fast. If you're sending reels or anything on, like anything you're seeing on Facebook that is labeled as like a TikTok video, those are months old. That's how long it takes for them to reach the other platforms and gain popularity. So you're behind. And when you're sending people things, we've already seen them. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm not going to like judge you. I'm still going to watch your video and be like, comment on it, but I'll probably comment that, oh, I saw that a couple months ago. It was so funny. Like that trend is like 3 months old. So you are behind the times. Also, TikTok is very like, they have such a strong algorithm. So it formulates what you want to watch. Once you start liking things, following people, it understands what you want to see. And their algorithm is very strong. Like it knows exactly what I want and like what would affect me as a listener or life. I love it. I love it. I get like a formulated page for me of things that I'm interested in with other people who are interested in the same kind of things that I'm interested in. We're all interacting. It's nice.
The idea is the algorithm better than Instagram because I hate Instagram's algorithm.
Oh, so much better.
Stupid.
I hate Instagram's algorithm. It shows me
sometimes I linger on things because I hate them. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I hate this and I never want to see it again. And then because I lingered on it, Instagram's going to think it's going to think I like it. So you know what I have to do? I have to go onto the little 3 dots and then click not interested so that Instagram knows don't show me this crap again.
You are so right. I send one video of like a pig video to somebody I know who loves pigs, and for like a month straight I got nothing but pig content, which I mean is fun when it's piglets, but it's another when it's like a full trough of animals, just like, and then like sometimes there's like mating involved, and I'm like, how did I end up on Pigstagram? How? Oh, anyways, your turn, David.
Does it filter into your Pornhub suggestions as well?
That's terrifying.
No. Now get out of there. Get out of the dirt and the grime and get on to Shannon's last question.
All right. Shannon, I want a story here if the answer is yes. Have you ever slapped anyone for real?
Yes, I have. The story is my freshman year of college. Last night I slapped my roommate Alyssa. No. Freshman year of college, I was hanging out with a group of friends. We were getting ready to go out, and a guy was like, "Oh, you're not strong. Nothing you would do to me would hurt me." And so first I slapped him because he told me to. He asked me to slap him to prove it. Left a pretty sizable like red mark right on his like back. Said it didn't hurt. So then he was like, "Nah, that didn't hurt at all," with like the welt glowing red on his back. But after that, he was like, "I bet you like punched me in the chest." So I punched him too. Knocked the wind out of him, and he never spoke to me again because he was very embarrassed, and he told people he was very embarrassed.
I think you just satisfied him for the night. Yeah, that's a bit odd to just go around the bar being like, "Hey, does anybody here want to step up to the Massimo challenge and just start slapping and punching me? I swear you can't get a reaction out of me." Kind of.
Well, I think it's because I've told Phil this. I'm like 5'3". I'm really short. I like present this like really sweet girl presence. I think I've been told I have a resting nice face, so I think like no one is ever really super intimidated by my physical presence. And then like I have an older brother. I grew up with an older brother, and I can throw a punch.
Now the world knows you can throw a punch. All right, well, we're moving on to the game now. And we've gotten to know Shannon and not Sharon. And no, Sharon didn't come. She couldn't make it. All right, so
Dang.
this game, since we've been talking about sickness and all that goes along with it, thanks to Phil's recent experiences, I will say this is the first part of the episode that we're recording. So I have no
Yes.
idea what was said in the main topic.
Likewise, yes, that will be important here coming up
Right.
for myself as well.
Yeah, so that should be made clear. And so the game is, at least on my part, I don't know what adaptations Phil might have made, but on my part, I will present a scenario from my life that has to do with feeling nausea, and you guys will have to buzz it as I'm presenting the scenario. You can buzz in at any time with your name, and then you will decide whether the cause for that feeling of nausea and potential vomit was because of alcohol, food poisoning, motion sickness, or a stomach bug.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So you'll buzz in with your name, and then you'll choose one of those 4 options. If you want to write them down, you can.
What were they again?
Alcohol, food poisoning, motion sickness, and a stomach bug. And those are in alphabetical order.
Motion sickness.
Yeah, like any like vehicle or like
Yeah, if you're on a
Sitting in the
roller coaster
car.
or something.
roller coaster, yeah, sitting in the car. Or,
Alcohol.
Can I ask if
plane
that's like
or
a thing you do experience? Because I don't experience motion sickness.
Well, many people do, though.
I believe yes would be the answer, or at least we have to assume he does for this game to go.
Since it's on the list.
Sometimes.
Alcohol,
Okay.
food poisoning, motion sickness. One more time, the last one.
Stomach bug.
Stomach.
There is, I looked up, and there is a general distinction between food poisoning and stomach bug.
Okay, phenomenal.
Although they are both
Fun.
caused by bacteria.
We'll get to the alterations mine make, but Shannon, I guess this really does boil down to you. Who would you like to face off against first of their iteration of this game?
I'm with David.
You want
wanna
to face off against
me?
David?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
All right, Phil,
All right.
present your game.
My variation of this game is a little different as I go around. Mine is going to be about myself first, and then I have 4 following celebrities who I will have a story about, and you determine whether or not they are A, acting the way that they acted because they were sick, because they were drunk, or because of other. Those are my only 3 options: because they were sick, drunk, or because of other, of why they acted or reacted like this. Okay, here we go. First one is a story about myself. Here we
And
go.
we're buzzing in, or are we buzzing in with our names?
Yes, why not? So the moment you are
Okay.
comfortable and feel like jumping on and taking a guess, first to get the guess correct wins. Only 3 options, so you have a good shot here. And your name is your buzzer. Here we go. I woke up one day and was so dehydrated that all I wanted was green Gatorade. And that's all I would drink for 3 days straight. And
David,
David,
I'm going to say other.
he is correct. Other, any guess for why I was feeling this way?
I mean, maybe you were recovering from being high. I don't know. Did that maybe made you feel dehydrated? I have no idea. But I didn't feel like you'd be 3 days seemed like too long for
Yeah.
drunk and sick. I don't know. I just went with other.
It was other. All I would consume for 2 days also was this Gatorade. It is other because I had surgery for my tonsils, and because of such, I was not allowed to eat anything anyways during those 2 days. But for those 3 days, that's all I could do. And I was crying. I was sobbing over wanting to just be able to eat more. But all I could consume was this Gatorade. And it was like the nectar of the gods. It was so delicious. All right. The rest of these are just celebrities. And you get a bonus half a point if you can guess correctly who the celebrity is. Most of the times I will not guess that you would know who they are. But here we go. This celebrity went out for a night with the wife, where the two found their way to a concert for celebrities, and the two were escorted to their assigned seats, but were shocked to find out they were in seats 1A and 1B. Much more to their surprise, the concert was to be recorded and aired on TV. Finally, the couple was embarrassed to be in front of other celebrities such as Drake, Dwayne Wade, and Gabrielle Union, and Leonardo DiCaprio because they had never even met Adele, the person whose concert they were attending, and were nervous to be in the current state they were in, thinking she might notice.
Shannon.
It's
Other, and it was Seth Rogen, wasn't it?
It is Other, and it is Seth Rogen and his wife, and they what was the other, Shannon?
Weren't they high?
They were. They were both uncontrollably
As soon as you said Seth
high.
Rogen, I was like,
no,
well, I
as
guess
soon as
he
you
was
said
high.
they were being filmed,
Yes.
I knew exactly who it was.
All right, so Shannon has
I guess I need to get on TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it on TikTok because he posted it on TikTok.
They did. They had a whole, I believe he was being interviewed by one of the Jimmys. I'm not sure. Jimmy or Johnny, I'm not sure. But Shannon has a 0.5 point lead with the correct guess of Seth Rogen. So now the score is 1.5 to 1.
Do we have
favor.
to guess the celebrity?
You don't have to, but it's worth 0.5 point if you want to. Either way. Next one. This actor ended up in the hospital 2 days before shooting a film. He is a tried method actor, not a tried and true, but just a tried method actor, who chose to follow in the footsteps of the subject he was portraying in a biopic. Thus, what led to his hospitalization. The person he was portraying was Steve Jobs.
Shannon?
I'm
going to say Sick, and that's Ashton Kutcher, right?
It is Sick, and it is Ashton Kutcher. Again, another 1.5 point boost there to Shannon. Very good. He tried to copy a phase in Jobs' life where he mostly ate fruits, and in part what inspired the company's name Apple. And yes, Ashton Kutcher. Very good. 3 to 1. Shannon is killing it with only 2 left to go here. So David, you need both in order to tie.
Yeah, I do.
All right. This singer was performing along with their band live in Montreal in 1992 when the concert had to be stopped because of this singer leaving early. People weren't mad at the singer leaving, but they were mad when the band that followed, Guns N' Roses, didn't perform long enough to cover up for the time lost of the previous band's performance. So we're looking for either the band or the singer of who left early. David.
Oh, so they played before. I was going to say Guns N' Roses, but evidently it's not Guns N' Roses.
It's not.
Because I've heard stories about Axl Rose leaving concerts, but I'm going to say
3.
I'm going to say Sick.
2.
And who's the band? Stone Temple Pilots. I'm just thinking about what
Fair
Jake
enough.
was talking about 2 weeks ago.
It is not Stone Temple Pilots, nor is it Sick. So Shannon, it goes to you. You have 2 choices left here. You have Drunk or Other.
They were drunk, but I don't know who it was.
And a swing and a miss there as well. It is, in fact, Other. The singer, who was James Hetfield of Metallica, famously caught on fire due to a pyro stunt gone wrong. So obviously the audience was not upset when he needed to leave. And apparently there's video of it. Everybody can watch it. Very, very crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think Drunk made sense because as you said, the audience wasn't upset. How is Metallica opening for Guns N' Roses?
It was 1992. It was like the Wild West, David. Don't know.
Okay. All right. Well,
Shannon has a commanding lead unless she wants to offer David a dove of peace offering, but she has a 2 point advantage at 3 points to David's 1. Going into our last question, here we go. This actress is Hollywood royalty, but we can watch a scene in a famous movie where this actress was in this state. She also performs with a guitar and multiple children, but what makes it so remarkable is not only the person who might surprise you, but that the scene itself took place in the Alps, which is a very tough place to procure delicacies that led to this. Shannon.
Was she drunk? And was it Julie Andrews?
It was. It was.
That's
Julie
what I was
Andrews.
thinking as well. The name hadn't arrived in my head yet, Julie Andrews. But I was
as soon
thinking
as
of
he
the
said
exact same
Alps,
thing.
I was like, that's the only thing I can think about with children now.
Of course. There we go. Julie Andrews was drunk in The Sound of Music whenever they're doing the Do Re Mi song. Apparently, when they were on a cottage or on a farm, there was a guy who's on set that they went to that procured and made his own alcohol that she enjoyed during the off takes. So she was toasted and schmoasted during all this time. Way to go, Julie Andrews, a classic. Would you guys like to play the tiebreaker just for fun?
Why
Always.
not?
Why not? All right. David, you would have had to force the tie, so we'll go to you first here. David Hoffman's beloved Chargers, yes, I said Chargers. He loves both the Rams and the Chargers. Just don't ask him who he'd root for in a Super Bowl featuring the two. Have had a spending frenzy with free agency in the NFL officially open. Since March 11th, which saw the Chargers trade for Khalil Mack, and whose salary won't be accounted for in this exercise, how much in contracts have the Chargers spent total in free agency, not limited to the guarantees, but the total amount the contracts could be worth? Total amount as of 1:15 p.m. Mountain Time on Tuesday, March 15th, the time of this recording. David, we'll go to you.
I mean, I don't know how many smaller like contracts they've like. I've only followed the bigger names that have been coming in. So I'm just gonna in millions. I'm gonna guess $160 million, but I have no real frame of reference here.
Shannon, 160 to you.
Can you remind me of which team we're talking about?
Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers. I have no idea. I'm going to go 100 million.
And barely, Shannon does take it. It is 122.75 million. Of course, the signings are minimal, but we have a backup QB, Chase Daniels, two defensive tackles, Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. And of course, the big one, of course, would be J.C. Jackson, a cornerback. Those of which not a lot of people care about, but just in case you wanted to know how we got to 122.75. Congratulations, Shannon. You won. You beat David. You did what you needed to on the podcast. Now just scoot aside and let me win this next one as David takes the reins.
Okay, and so my game now, you guys know the rules. There are 4 options: alcohol, food poisoning, motion sickness, and stomach bug. We will start with question 1. Buzz in with your name, please. We go fishing. I'll just hold this on. I just want to say, sometimes these stories are intentionally vague, and sometimes they're intentionally specific. Here we go. We go fishing while visiting Cape Town, South Africa. I do a lot of upchucking over the side of the boat, so it takes a little while before I'm well enough to even try and catch a fish.
Stomach bug.
No, not stomach bug. There are 3 options left.
I wanted an early.
It takes a little while before I'm well enough to even try and catch a fish. I did come away with a 40 kg beauty.
I guess Shannon.
It goes to you, Shannon.
I'm going to say, you said stomach bug, Philip. I'm going to say food poisoning because I feel like motion sickness is too easy.
Well, both of you have had a guess, and you both got it wrong.
Yes.
There'd be no real point in letting you take another guess each because there's only 2 options left. The correct answer was motion sickness.
It seemed too easy.
The seas were insane that day. It was deep sea fishing, and it was absolutely crazy. The swells were like 10 meters high, and it was like I spent most of the entire day upchucking over the side of the boat, but I did manage to get well enough for about half an hour, catch myself a fish. A big old 40 kg tuna. And that is the first and last time I went deep sea fishing. Question 2, 0
I still have a
points
skipping
on the
stone.
board.
I still have a skipping stone, right? Okay.
A stoin, yes.
A stoin.
Okay, I'm making pancakes one morning for my friends at my apartment. I make them from scratch. I'm not feeling too good, but I power through. I'm mixing the batter. A smell hits my nose. Shannon.
You're drunk.
Alcohol is the correct answer. I will finish the story. A smell hits my nose and I can't do it anymore. Minutes later, I'm bent over the toilet. So what actually happened was I was mixing the batter. I wasn't feeling good. I was like tired and like feeling sick. But as soon as I poured the vanilla extract, which is like 30% alcohol, into the bowl, and the smell just hit my nose, I was nope. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So I asked my friend Bella to because it was done. The batter was ready. I was like, please, can you fry the pancakes? And she did so very graciously. Shannon, 1 point to you. We move on to question 3.
Ooh.
I was rudely awoken one Christmas morning at 10 a.m. as all the younger cousins and aunts and uncles were sitting in the living room waiting for presents to be opened. Obviously, we wanted everyone to be there. We always do. My cousin and I were dragged out of bed and forced to sit there, green and dizzy. We each lasted about 10 minutes, said our
Skipping
pleasantries,
stone.
and returned to the bedrooms to upchuck. Okay. Skipping stone. Any inkling, Phil?
You're both green. I mean, I would think it's cold, so I would have guessed stomach bug. Or I'm sorry, sickness. Wait, no, it's motion sickness. I'm sorry, stomach bug is what I meant.
Stomach bug.
Sorry.
You would have been correct. Stomach bug was correct. I'm sure I told this story earlier, so I won't go into it again, but it was about as sick as I've ever been in my life. Yeah. It was very rough, and it lasted days. Okay, moving on to question 4. Phil chose to skip question 3. The score is still 1-0 to Shannon. I was up all night for 2 nights in a row feeling like crap, listening to my dad's thunderous snoring from across the house. I threw up numerous times.
Shannon,
Shannon, I heard you first.
is this a food poisoning?
Food poisoning is correct. 2 points to you. Yeah.
100% a guess.
The timeline was 2 nights, right? That's food poisoning territory. I mean, it could have also been stomach bug, but
It could have been. It could have been
food poisoning.
I was going to go
Had
with
a
whichever
bad
one she
pizza.
didn't. Oh,
Yeah.
so I need these last 2 to tie.
You need these last 2 to tie. Okay, here we
All
go. Sitting on a plane next to my dad after a brief trip to London, feeling woozy, lightheaded, and short of breath. I managed to hold my breakfast, but only just. Philip.
Motion sickness.
Not motion sickness.
Damn it!
Shannon, it goes to you.
So it's not motion sickness. Was that the end of the story?
That was. You want me to say the last line? I sort of got jumbled up in the last line. I managed to hold my breakfast, but only just.
I'm going to go with stomach bug.
Stomach bug is incorrect as well. It was alcohol. I was hungover on my trip back from London. I have told this story on the podcast before, so I'm surprised you didn't get that, Phil. But no worries. We go on to the last question for respect, unless Shannon wants to make some sort of peace offering, but she didn't to me, so I don't know why she would to you. Last question.
Yeah.
I was in my first year of university. Oh God, I was in my first year of university, living in my dorm, and I threw up all over the shower. The shared shower, I will say.
Philip, I'm going to go. I mean, it lends itself to alcohol, but I'm going to go with stomach bug.
Should have gone with alcohol. Alcohol would have been correct. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, the score is 2-0 to Shannon. You have swept us both, Shannon. Amazing.
I try.
You're like,
I was more impressed with knowing the celebrities. I'm not a celebrity person.
Right, no,
so
that was impressive.
That
was impressive. Yeah. Well, there you go. You guys fell into a few of my traps, but Shannon, you've come out victorious. All right, Shannon. Before we let you go, is there anything that you want to plug other than your fancy new job at SiriusXM?
Yeah, you can follow me on TikTok, ShannonNanner1, and Shannon B_LUNT on all the other platforms. Also, my corgi Teddy, he has an Instagram, fantastic. It's Lil_Teddy_corgi. It's fantastic, amazing content.
And ShannonNanner1 is the number, or is it spelled out?
Just the number.
Just the number. Well, that is
Shannon
phenomenal.
1.
That is phenomenal. Well, thank you to both you and Teddy for allowing you to come on the show today. We appreciate it. We don't appreciate you kicking both of our butts, but hey, this is the risk that we have bringing on such a phenomenal guest as yourself. So thank you very much, Shannon. Appreciate your time as always. Now go and give Teddy a big hug and a kiss from both me and Hoffman.
I will. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And with that loss from both me and Hoffman, our records go down just a little bit. I go down to 3-2, while David goes down to 2-3. Ooh!
Slap it. All right. We are in movie season. We are in Oscar season. And this is a Best Picture nominee. I've seen quite a few of them now. Best Picture nominees, acting nominees, whatever, nominees of all kinds. And I have been relatively unimpressed by a surprising amount of them. But Coda was a very, very enjoyable film. It is funny. It is heartwarming. It is relatable in its own abstract way. I mean, obviously, I'm not deaf and I'm not a member of the deaf community, but it's still in a family sense, very relatable, and I very much enjoyed it. It doesn't break any boundaries in terms of like the plot. It's probably not going to surprise you a tremendous amount, but it is a very, very good film. The acting is very good, and I just enjoyed watching it. I loved it. It slaps.
I haven't seen it yet, but I am intrigued to see it. I would be remiss if I didn't say an honorary that slaps this week would be Pepto-Bismol, the pills form. I didn't realize that they have a pills form. What a game changer that is, David. Oh my God. Because like the whole...
Don't think it's on Spotify. I'm not sure I can add it to the playlist.
No, I don't believe so. So that's why it has to be honorary in this format. But that whole pink Willy Wonka liquid chugging form, just, it's so gross to me, the idea. So the pills form, don't know why. Big, huge difference. Love it. But what I'll do for real, even though that it wasn't the real that slaps this week, would be "Ruin My Life" by Zara Larsson. Great song, love it. It slaps. Before we close tent here, we have a couple thank yous that we need to get around to. And first of all, we would like to thank Tara Amstutz and Josh Haunt for their wonderful contributions to the pod. Of course, you get to see and hear a lot of what they do, and quite frankly, the show wouldn't be possible without them.
Yes, and thank you to Jake Corlang and to Cass and Crossland for the music that you hear on this show. We love you guys, and we appreciate it.
Most of all, thank you to you, the listeners. If we haven't lost you already through all of our sick talk today, we're glad to have you each and every episode coming up forward. If you haven't listened to some of our old episodes, make sure to do that in whatever podcast format you choose to listen to, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, even Google Podcasts, everywhere except for Pandora, because, well, screw you, Pandora.
Very easy to get lost in these woods. It's important to know how to track. Ah, here, a sample. Let's have a taste. Bear feces. We're going the right way.